Hi everyone, and welcome to another video in the Soil CRC Knowledge Sharing Project Extension Series. I'm your host, Simon Kruger, WA's Knowledge Sharing Project Grower Group Representative and Project Communications Officer at the West Midlands Group. This is one of 4 episodes where participating grower group representatives get to reflect on the knowledge sharing project and what they've learnt during that time. And joining us today, it is my absolute pleasure to be sitting down with AirEP's Joshua Telfer. G'day Josh, how's it going?
G'day Simon. Yeah, doing well mate, doing well. It's a bit warm here today, but yep, good, doing well.
Look Josh, you're a familiar face to me. I get to see you every month. Wish it was more, but that's okay. But for people that don't know who you are, and can you introduce your role and maybe say a little bit about yourself, maybe your history a bit?
Yeah, sure. I work with AirEP, which is Agricultural Innovation Research Eyre Peninsula, which is a farming system group which covers all the Eyre Peninsula. Mm-hmm. If you've driven the Nullarbor, you would have gone through the towns like Sojourner, Woodner, Kimber, which is the right top northern edge of our farming system area. But it covers the whole triangular peninsula, which is the bit that, again, is closest to you. And if you include the national parks, it's about the size of Tasmania. So I know you guys do everything bigger in WA, but we're definitely the biggest part of our state too. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge geographical area really that you cover. It's quite unbelievable. When you told me the first time, I was pretty blown away. And so in that area, you know, obviously whereabouts are you based yourself?
So I'm based on the lower part, just out of Port Lincoln, but we've got staff that work remotely right across the peninsula. And it's quite a diverse climate-wise, north to south, a bit like WA. It dries out as you go further north and gets a bit wetter as you go south. But then there's the uplands in the east, which are a bit wetter as well, and a few other bits and pieces. But it's predominantly a mixed farm, what we'd call mixed farming. So yes, it is mostly wheat and sheep, but a lot of barley and canola and lentils and faba beans in the mix as well, and the occasional bit of lupins as well, and the occasional cow. But for all intents and purposes, yes, it is a lot of wheat and sheep, and probably ranges from 150 to 200 mil rainfall up to probably 500-600, with a lot in that 350 to 450 range.
So obviously I know there's a few of you working for AirEP, but yourself, how did you participate in the knowledge sharing project?
Yeah, so we've got a different set of skills across AirEP. My background is in soils and also in family farming. I was in there for a decade, so I stepped out of that to do this role with AirEP. And so I work I'm a sustainable ag officer, so I work on more working on erosion control, soils, and a little bit around mixed species farming and into the regen space. I've been involved in the knowledge sharing project because we run a lot, as AirEP, we run a lot of events, both internally but also with external parties. And we're always working on how to convey and connect with farmers. And so as part of the knowledge sharing project, we've been working with the likes of you guys in West Midlands and other farming systems groups across Australia to really hone our skills really around engaging with farmers in the, I guess you'd say, 21st centuries. But our farmer these days is getting bits of information from all over. A lot of farmers I work with are watching YouTube videos, they're in WhatsApp groups, they listen to podcasts, and so it's really not a messy space, but farmers are often quite proactive in finding information that they want to find. And so we want to talk into that space and have something to say, but also understanding some of the networks that are going on and really hone our skills to optimise that, really.
I'm with you. It's been being part of the knowledge sharing project has been really great for understanding how we can kind of focus our messaging or learn skills from each other about how how we can maybe target an audience that we weren't already, or get the messaging just right so we can kind of engage on a higher level.
The project I'll be involved in is a fair bit of flexibility to be able to pivot to what farmers are interested in, which has been really kind of cool because I've been able to find out what farmers are looking at and going, oh yeah, I can find a speaker at that. Oh, I can deliver it in a flexible way, and just really get that peer-to-peer learning across farmers, which is really important. And I've seen farmers actually take on learnings from one another probably a little bit more quickly than a speaker out from the front saying, I found this once in a research trial. So.
Yeah, that was definitely a big thing for us. A big pickup for West Midlands Group was the peer-to-peer still. It seems to be one of the biggest tools. It's not like someone standing up the front and telling people how to do it, but rather them sharing their knowledge between each other, and then they can move forward together. And that's where the likes of local heroes and that kind of language comes from, where you've got someone that knows maybe one piece of the puzzle and someone that knows the other piece of the puzzle, and they're getting together and kind of moving the boat forward.
Oh, and I think also with the extension, it's always been powerful hearing from a farmer in a nearby region or further away as well, because you can sort of relate to that, and that's challenging at times to get the right person, because a lot of expense involved. And I think with some of the newer bits and pieces, particularly maybe pushed along with COVID, we've been able to really drop farmers in from other areas that people have asked for. Even sometimes when they'll freely admit, I farm in an area that's different to you, but sometimes that's the catalyst for increasing discussion around the table as to what local farmers think of this, and really thrash it out, which has really been beneficial to see. And sometimes for us as a farming system group, we can take a step back and watch the farmers really take the lead in driving their own learning and their adoption of techniques that we would have pushed otherwise. But I've seen farmers get up and give quite a good spiel about something I've actually been trying to work on, but unprovoked, they've got up and really been the real evangelists, for want of a better word, of the tick. Yeah.
My idea now is to maybe have a reflection on an engagement approach that you got to trial while you were working with the knowledge sharing project. So can you tell us a bit more about the regenerative agriculture monitoring project, and maybe about how narratives about soil and land management might be changing in your area?
We've got quite a lot of growing a lentil industry in this region, and lentils leave the land really bare afterwards. So I've had a couple of farmers really take on board the challenges that presents and go, oh, I really want to drive my cover crops and stuff afterwards. And that totally fits what my project's working on, but it wasn't driven by me. It was driven by the farmers wanted to keep growing lentils, but seeing the problems that it creates and going, well, how do I then fix this? And then using some of the tools in the toolbox in my project and going, well, I'm going to try and use this tool to fix this problem. So that's really been quite cool. And other farmers are really taken some of these approaches and going, well, I've got some rocky, steep land that I'm not getting much production. I'm using some of these tools to see if I can dry matter and grow my forage value in this. And they've really taken up, and it's been really interesting to see, even though it creates a lot of, not every participant has great success, but I've had some great success with some participants, and it's that willing to not risk it for a biscuit, but sort of being not guaranteeing success when you start, but going, well, we're going to try this, and if we get some answers, then we can apply it on a bigger area. That's a win. And so I really think with that participation with farmers, you've got to allow people to try things at a smaller scale so you can be confident when you're doing a bigger scale, but also if it's not going to work, you want to find out early enough too.
How did the knowledge sharing project fit into the work that you were doing in that space? So
as part of my project, my Regen Ag project we were running prescribed number of workshops, prescribed number of forums, prescribed number of farmer-led days. And so that was already happening, but stepping into the knowledge sharing program really enabled me to think strategically about not just running events, but running farmer activities that they wanted, but also how tailoring in such a way to really heighten that peer-to-peer learning, and also to then bring in voices that maybe challenge farmers a little bit, not threatening, because we don't want to threaten farmers for what they're doing, but lift the bar of what's possible. And Farmers are a diverse group of people anyway, but I've certainly seen farmers really take the challenging on, going and use information that they've seen in their own context, and really foster that spirit too of sharing too, because increasingly farmers, I think, don't share with their neighbours as much, because as farming systems have become, farming's become probably a bit more commercial and a little more could use a better word, but cutthroat. Farmers are sometimes reluctant to share with neighbours as much, but in this context, there's a lot more willingness to share learnings, because it's not cut and dry what you need to do, but also sharing over bigger areas and going to because
Is
it's
that
not everyone's.
because the end product isn't necessarily like a profit margin? It's not about necessarily about yield, or necessarily about a dollar figure or return on investment in a dollar figure, but rather an improvement in time, or in environmental, or those kind of ESG goals and things like that.
And also, not everyone's going to be passionate enough about this to follow it through. And what I've learned with working with farmers is not everyone is can be passionate about everything. And you might get, and you'll see this, some farmers are passionate about their sheep, or they might be passionate about sheep fertility, or they might be passionate about sheep wool or something, and they'll gravitate to people who are equally passionate. But someone else might be passionate about growing pulses or precision ag type stuff, and everything takes a headspace. So you can't be passionate and be an expert on everything. And so in this space, a lot of farmers, their neighbours aren't as passionate about it as them, or they might think that they're crazy or a bit loony or a bit alternative. And these farmers are not, but also it's something they're really keen to change the narrative in their farming system, in their both the regional farming system, but also their enterprise. And they're wanting information, and they're also willing to share it. So we've in our local area, we've had a WhatsApp group start up, and they've really been keen to share learnings about some of this space as well. And this has not been driven by us; we've supported it. And when they've come for us for ideas and support, we've been able to support. And conversely, when we've run events, we've been able to tap some of the expertise and go, "Oh, who is it you'd really like to learn from or hear from, or who else should we get in the room to talk about stuff?" And I've really appreciated that. I've run some events where I had both a soil microbiologist and an etymologist going back to back, quite contrasting material, but the feedback we got was, these work great because they were able to pick up and contrast, and rather than, and this was driven by farmers and hearing a bit more what they wanted to do. And there is a time and a place for, yes, we need to communicate and extend to farmers this particular message because it's critical, whether it's a market access issue or animal welfare or something like that. But I think sometimes we also need to hear from farmers. They might not know exactly what they want to know, but they go, I want to hear from this person about this. I want to hear a little bit more about how these issues interact, which has been good. Okay, so
I reckon that's about it for today. So Josh, thank you so much for jumping in and having a chat with me today, and obviously for your continued openness, your insights, your knowledge, and your continuous support of myself and of the Knowledge Sharing Project. It's been an absolute pleasure working alongside you, and I'm looking forward to working with you more and more in the future with other soil CRC projects. So thanks a lot, Josh.
Thanks, Simon, man. I appreciate your time and your patience with me, and as much as there's wisdom in the East sometimes, as we are always waiting for you guys to wake up in the West so we can pick your brains too.